Welcome everyone to an awesome game between Grand Cathay and Khorne going up against Kislev and Nurgle. Now we are going to be playing on the Kislev Plains and leader of the forces of Grand Cathay is going to be Lindsay, so thank you very much for sending in this beautiful game. So starting in the front here with the Demons of Nurgle, we are going to have 4 units of the cheaper Plague Bearers. Very, very cost efficient right now, as they did get a bit of a buff from 750 gold down to 700, and then also those speed increases. In the back, we are going to have the Double Forsaken of Nurgle. Good armor, very tanky, brilliant weapon strength with poison, making them very powerful indeed. In the back, we are going to have probably the strongest Lord choice in the game. We are going to have the big Exalted Great Unclean One. Now, this boy is so powerful because of this one ability. The Pestilence Decay is a very good Mortis effect. Now, we are also going to have Arcane Conduit, the Children of Nurgle, and then the Stench for that negative leadership. Cloud of Fire is going to be very powerful here throughout the entirety of Nurgle, giving that +9 melee defense, which just makes them super, super tanky. So for the spells, we are going to have Fleshy Abundance, the Blight Boil, Rancid Visitations, the Curse of the Leper, Miasma of Pestilence, and then the Stream of Corruption. So coming with all of the spells here, and then also the ability of Blight Swarm is probably something that I wouldn't recommend. I'd say even with the Winds of Magic changing here in Warhammer 3, and perhaps even being better, I would still only recommend 3 spells. Anything outside of that is probably not all that cost efficient. In the middle, we are going to have the Beauty, that is the Soul Grinder of Nurgle, with a brilliant cannon on the front with poison, bucket loads of armor, piercing, and 360 range, which makes this thing very, very powerful indeed. One more unit for Nurgle, we are going to be having the Beast of Nurgle over here on the right-hand side. 800 gold cost of Fear, plus also Regeneration, and this thing is just super tanky with magic and then also armor-piercing melee stats. So very, very powerful indeed from this single entity. Now, for the Lord choice, we are going to have Tsarina Katerin leading the forces here of Kislev. She's going to be on a Polar Bear, which is gangster as always. Arcane Conduit, and then also the Frost Shield for the Lore passive. And for the spells of the Heart of Winter, the Crystal Sanctuary, as well as Death Frost, Frost Blades, and also Ice Sheet, and then the Ice Maiden's Kiss. So yet again coming with all of the spells, which is certainly still something I wouldn't recommend. We're also going to be having the Ice Shard, and then also Stand Your Ground as the abilities. For the front line, we are going to have Armoured Corsairs, backed up by the Double Streltsy, 1 unit in the back of the Ice Guard Glaives, and these ladies look absolutely fantastic. I must say, those Ice Glaives just look so goddamn gorgeous. But of course, they are going to have magic damage, anti-large armor piercing in melee combat, with also magical attacks. So very, very good up against demons. In the back, we are going to have double Lord Grom for the artillery pieces and some Warbear Riders over here on the right-hand flank. So good anti-large armor piercing snipers, which, really gives us force, everything that it needs. So, for Grand Cathay coming on the right flank, we are going to have some great Longmire Riders here with Lindsay. We are going to have the Silver Chevron there giving some beautiful stats indeed. That's going to be giving 4 there across the board. On the floor, speaking with Elite, we are going to have Skull Crushers of Khorne, the big bad boys here in the pocket, 130 armor and some amazing melee stats. Now, if you guys did see my Vigor video, you'll know just how these get debuffed when they do get into that exhausted state. So you've got to be very careful with how you use them and make sure you keep their Vigor nice and in tip-top shape. But 2 units of these bad boys at 1,800 gold cost, that's going to be more expensive there than the Great Longmire Riders. In the middle, we are going to have some Chaos Warriors of Khorne, backed up by Jade Warrior Crossbows. Some with shield and some without. Peasant Long Spearmen that are extremely cost efficient, and still cost efficient still, more of the Chaos Warriors. Now, these are going to be the shielded variety. They're definitely going to take the brunt in the front line. We do see some Bloodletters as well for the anti-infantry armor piercing, and more Crossbows just leading a really, really wide force. So very, very excellent indeed. For the Lord choice, we are going to be having the Exalted Bloodthirster. The big bad boy himself is going to be ready here with the Burning Rage, which is going to be an explosion effect, and then also Deathbringer. At 95 speed, he can fly in the sky. He's an absolute menace indeed. So coming forward here, it looks like we are going to get rather aggressive with Cathay, and then also Khorne. Of course, we're going to be having the artillery pieces in the back of the Soul Grinder and the Double Little Grom, which is going to be rather painful in total. So over here on the right-hand side, 2 more of the Great Longbow Riders, both coming with the Silver Chevrons, and then the Lord Choice of Yang Magic. So here on Halong, we are going to be having the cheap spells of the Dragon's Breath and the Jade Shield, and then also the Scales of Celestial Court. We're also going to have other spells of the Constellation of the Dragon, and then also the Might of Heaven and Earth, which for me is a very cost-inefficient spell, but having that magic damage up against demons can be rather nice. Is where I would say that Fire and Magic is very good up against Nurgle. Of course, you can kind of negate all their healing, and the magic damage really circumvents that physical resistance. Other abilities here, the Mastery of Element Winds, no extra heroes, so not going to see too much advantage there, but Arcane Conduit, and then also the Jade Amulet are going to give some brilliant bonuses to mana. So coming round on the right hand side, going to be overwhelming the Plague Drones. The Death Heads are going to be very, very good as well. Good armor piercing missiles with magic damage, and Flesh Hounds, which you don't need to tell you too much about these. We know just how powerful they really are. So they're going to be charging into the back. We have the Streltsy ready, and they're really going to cause some huge punishment up against the Call-Out Warriors. Now they do have the Silver Shields, but look at the damage still coming through. And then negates 55% of incoming small missiles. We're also going to be having the shots in the front here from the Ice Guard Glaives. They don't have too much AP, so it might actually be better spent firing maybe up against some more other lightly armored targets, but in reality, there's going to be nothing really all that cost efficient. In the back, we're going to be charging here with the Flesh Hounds. They're going to catch up against Little Grom, and they have great armor piercing values. It's going to be 22 armor piercing per model with 65 weapon strength. So they can get in, and they'll do some brilliant damage here up against Little Grom. Really going to be fighting for his life here in the trees. Getting in the back here with Zarina. Now we're going to charge downtown with the Great Longmar Riders. So very, very good work in the back. You can see both of the Khorne and also Lindsay here going to be, pretty much communicating very well here. One cycles in, causes a bit of distraction. We come in here now with the Longmar Riders, trying to finish off the artillery piece that's certainly going to be a nuisance. The Beast and Ogre are going to be at the top. We still see Streltsy and the Armoured Corsairs creating this nice double line of range here. Then also a good melee infantry front line. I wouldn't say there's too much gap in the front line, so we could start compromising quite a few here with the Streltsy. Going to be firing in the front with the Soul Grinder, doing some brilliant damage down the line of the Khornite forces. And now we're coming forth with Nurgle. They're going to be charging into the front line, and these bad boys are very lightly armoured. This is where you really see Jade Warrior Crossbows getting in and doing all of that disgusting damage. Especially here up against Plague Drones, these Death Heads really do not want to be this close up against the majority of the Jade Warrior Crossbows, because they'll shred them for an inch of their life. In the pocket, oh, look at that Stream of Corruption, very nice. Stream of Corruption is probably one of the most powerful spells in the game right now, but we are going to be fighting in the front here with the Chaos Warriors of Khorne, doing some good work up against the Plague Bearers. For the second part of the battle, we are going to be seeing By Our Blood activated for the Armoured Corsairs. This should be a good indication that we really need to drop off our Streltsy. We've got to be very careful here in the pocket, especially with Bloodletters. They just chew through Armoured Corsairs. And what's this going to be in the middle? It looks like maybe a Constellation of the Dragons. Yeah, look at that fantastic explosion there in the pocket. Coming from Grand Cathay, it's just going to be destroying all sorts of elements in the middle. And in the back here, it's just a bit of a fluster going on in the backside as we have these Skull Crushers rear charging excellently into the backside of the Streltsy. Very good stuff here coming from Team Lindsay. We see Great Longmars also compromising Streltsy. Armoured Corsairs are just getting beaten within an inch of their life. And then we have Bloodletters coming in around the flanks. Now, we do see here that the big poison cannon of the Songgrinder firing down the lines here up against the broken Warriors of Khorne. They now need to start smashing into the Peasant Spearmen and really start deleting some of this stuff on the left-hand side. The left-hand flank has been beaten back here. We are going to get the Bloodthirster in there as well, challenging up against Zarina Catherine. Definitely coming in with the original video here from Total War. There's going to be a big juicy fight in the pocket, but Little Grom here are both of them really struggling. The Ice Guard Glaives will be fighting with anti-large and armor piercing, but you don't really want them in sustained combat. They will have magic damage, but still probably wouldn't be too happy there. Over on the right hand side, we do see Nurgle doing some good work. They are going to be breaking down the Jade Warrior Crossbows. These flying forces of the Plague Drones do have great armor piercing, so they can really get in and cause some very good damage. Nice Stream of Corruption here down the line of the Jade Warrior Crossbows. Brilliant AP there from that spell. We're going to be breaking back the Peasant Long Spearmen. Good cheap anti-large here that's very good up against units such as the Death Heads. In the pocket, still going very strong here, is going to be the Exalted Great Unclean One, but he's pretty slow, so 36 speed. We can certainly start shooting here with the Jade Warrior Crossbows, and they'll do some brilliant damage up against the big boy. Now, this is a bit of a mistake here. We do see the Khornite forces charging into the Exalted Great Unclean One, and with his ability, he really shreds through pretty much any level of infantry. Unless they're going to be big, expensive halberds, the DPS is not going to be worth taking down the big chungus. He's just going to do very, very well indeed. But if we do put him in place, we certainly can shoot him here with the double Jade Warrior Crossbows. Crossbows here going to be falling in the middle. The pocket is just going to be overwhelmed by just mass Plague Bearers. We can see all of them kind of clumped together here. I'd like to see them spread out just a little bit more. Maybe even some of these coming to the back and compromising the Jade Warrior Crossbows. We do see the Forsaken, which are pretty quick at 42 speed. Going to be some of the faster infantry here for Nurgle. Really do need to get in the back. So the mobility here of Grand Cathay, we do have the double Great Longmire Riders. They're going to be chasing up against the Plague Drones, and that's going to be a pretty even fight there. I might even say it gives the advantage for the Great Longmires, especially with those silver chevrons. Going to be getting in with some extra melee prowess. So it's going to be a bit red here on the right-hand side. We do see the blue has fallen. We're going to be shattering here with the War Bears. The bad boys, haven't really seen them do too much, unfortunately. They are going to be shattering. I think that is Kislev out of the game. I think maybe it's just going to be a couple of Buyout Bloods holding the forces together. But moving over is going to be the Exalted Bloodthirster. He's going to come join the battle up against the Soul Grinder, who's going to be fighting up against the Peasant Long Spearman. A nice Jade shield actually going to be activated, doing a lot less damage here up against the Peasant Long Spearman. And here we go. The big Chungus is going to be in, and a bit of an unlikely alliance here between Grand Cathay and then also Khorne, but still they're going to be thumping quite hard onto the Soul Grinder. This bad boy is going to go down rather quickly. So much AP value from the Exalted Bloodthirster is really going to finish him off quite quickly. Fresh Hands are still going to be alive, which is quite rare. They are, of course, very lightly armoured. They don't have much durability indeed, but they can get in around the back here and start shutting down some of the Plague Bearers. Good cycle charging here with that weapon strength will really take care of them quite quickly. In the sky, we still have the Great Longmires, kind of maybe a hammer and anvil tactic here with the Peasant Long Spearmen. Hold them at the front, slam them in the rear here with most of your cavalry would be, certainly a quick way to finish off Nurgle here. We do have the Warriors of Khorne coming forward, plus the Skull Crushers, which just are so goddamn gorgeous. Look at these big metal beasts just charging into the front line, just causing so much havoc and damage up against pretty much any infantry unit they come across. They're going to be having all of the buffs, the Horn of Khorne giving plus 24 melee attack, as they're just going to be shredding through all these zombie Plague Bearers. At the top, it looks like we do get a return here of Little Grom. Some of the Ice Guard Glaives are going to be coming back to the battlefield. It looks like they shatter. That's going to be army losses. GG's and well played here to Lindsay with Grand Cathay and Khorne. Very, very, very good stuff. I really enjoyed that. I do actually really like 2v2s on Landbattle. It's a bit of an interesting map there, but it certainly gave for a bit of a split dynamic that you had to use your mobility, and I think maybe it didn't quite play into the hands of Kislev and Nurgle. Of course, both of these not really being too high on the mobility side. You certainly can bring mobility here with both sides, but you certainly have to invest quite a lot into that. But we can see here, let's have a look at Kislev. So we're going to have 340, 380 and 350 for the Armored Corsairs, backed up by the range of 360 and 100 for the Streltsy. I think these two being quite close together, a bit of a, yet again, a hammer and anvil tactic, really kind of slammed in the front, and we got the cavalry in from behind, and it was just devastating from there, really. It was very, very good communication coming from the Team Lindsay. We saw 2,400 for the Ice Guard Glaives. They're exceptionally good. Magic damage, anti-large, armor piercing. That's in both range and melee combat is just fantastic indeed. Now we do see Little Grom coming at 470, 280 as well, and then the War Bear is coming at 3,722. I take that back. I didn't see them do too much, but maybe they just got in there and perhaps deleted a lot of the Great Longmires, maybe actually got in amongst the Bloodthirsters as well. They would have been challenging up against Skull Crushers, but that would have also been quite an even conquest indeed. Now we see 670 there for Tsarina Katerin, so not too much there from her, considering she also brought all of her spells, which I think is actually quite cost inefficient. We probably could have saved in the region to 500 gold, which then probably would have translated to 1,000 gold if we also tidied up the Exalted Great Unclean One. That really could have helped the battle here quite considerably. You certainly could have brought maybe some Furies, or you could have brought some extra elements to the battlefield that really could have helped here. So for the Exalted Great Unclean One, 1,780 for him. He got shot quite a lot, but he got in there, he did the work. Stream of Corruption was also quite nice up against a lot of the Cathay range. 1,300 for the Soul Grinder, 1,250 for the Death Heads. I really like what CA did there with the Plague Drones, making them cheaper, making the Death Heads a little bit more cost efficient. Certainly has brought them more to the battlefield, and I really do enjoy using them. I think they're very, very, very fun indeed. So 130 kills, 640 there for the Forsaken, 530 as well there. I think Forsaken very, very good choice in this matchup, especially up against Grand Cathay. They're a little bit tough to take down there with the Sword and Shield Jade Warriors. Also, Peasant Long Spearmen really do suffer up against them, so I think they're a good infantry choice to get in and do some good work, but they will suffer here up against Khorne. So 360 to 50, 270, and 250 there for the Plague Bearers of Nurgle. Only 76 for the Beast of Nurgle. I've never really been too impressed with this bad boy, but certainly I probably would have traded him for an extra unit of Forsaken, and maybe brought some more Forsaken in here if we just tidied up the Lord choice. Or, maybe brought in an extra Death Head or something like that, just to really challenge the Sky. But you've got to be careful with the Sky Force, because you are going up against the Dragons of old, and, certainly if you brought a Dragon Caster, maybe like Miao Ying, and you brought, 3 units of the Great Longmires, it really can be quite difficult, and also just how cost efficient the Lord of Yang is in the sky, or even then the Lord of Ying is certainly very, very tough to challenge up against that. Especially when you've also got an extra demon faction in that can also just bring cheap chaff just to kind of zone you out a little bit and just be a little bit annoying. And then also the plague drones being quite light on the armor, it really, really can be quite tough. So I think actually going the Air Force there perhaps was not the play. But still here, coming from Lindsay from the Yancaster, 2,230, very, very strong stuff indeed. The Jade Shield is always very cost efficient. No matter where you go in the battlefield, that 44% damage resistance is always very handy. 1,660 and 840 there for the Great Longmire Riders, with 2,500, 2,100, 1,000 and 2,000 for the Jade Warrior Crossbows. Dear God, that is disgusting. That is absolute filth. So what's it going to be? 2, 3... 7,000, probably 7,500 to 8,000 total damage here coming from 4 units of Jade Warrior Crossbows. That is absolute absurdity. Very, very good stuff indeed. Now, 209, 420 there for the Peasant Long Spearmen, 200, 600, and 175. And I do really try and show me anything more cost efficient than Peasant Long Spearmen. They're very, very good indeed. Exalted here with the Bloodthirster, he's going to be getting 4,600. Jesus, look at that value. This guy is absolutely filthy. But of course, he did take on Tsarina. Then we also went down up against the Soul Grinder of Nurgle. He did get in there deep and start just sniping characters left, right, and centre. You know, he's not quite Scarbrand, but he really can do some great damage indeed. 1,900 for the Skull Crushers, 1,600 as well. They're exceptionally good if used correctly. But of course, if you don't use them correctly, you certainly start losing some of that vigor. They really can kind of downtrade on their efficiency. 680, 390 there for the Bloodletters, with 800, 125, 370, and 500 for the Cornite Warriors. Still getting very good value considering they were the main meat of the army, and they were the focus force that really, the Streltsy dug all of those ammunition into. 830, 800 as well from the Fleshhounds, and very, very good control here from the Khorne player. So, what an excellent game. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Would you like to see some more 2v2s? Do feel free to let me know. I'd love to cast some more in the future. I really do like where you have just a kind of multitude of things going on, and you have to, see both players really reacting and working together. That kind of team element of Total Warhammer really could certainly in Warhammer 3 could certainly come quite prevalent and quite enjoyable to watch as well. So if you did enjoy this, do feel free to leave a like, feel free to leave a comment down below as well with all your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, do feel free to subscribe, as it really does help here on the channel with all of its growth, etc. And also check out that description. You can find all my other social media platforms, including Twitch and Discord, and I've been your boy Logic. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.